Hi, everybody. I'm Dr. Lori. This is Ask Dr. Lori Live. It's nice to be with you. I'm taking your questions tonight. That's right. You can ask anything, personal, art, antique, collectible, whatever you want to ask. Just type it into the chat, into the comments, and we'll get them to you. The newsletter, of course, I always suggest that you sign up for the newsletter. A new one's going out tomorrow. So sign up now. It's free. Give us your email address, and it'll be sent to your inbox. Easy. Really easy. It's at drloriv.com. Look for the thumbs up free tab. Very easy to find right on the website. So a lot of people enjoy it. I enjoy it too. I'm taking your questions. Now your questions need to be the type of questions that are actually formulated so they help everybody. So, any kind of questions. Yes, I'll answer personal questions too. A lot of you want to know certain things, and I'm happy to answer those too as best I can. In terms of it though, do you know this artist and how much is a painting by that artist worth? Okay, that doesn't help everybody, because you may be the only one with that a work by that artist. But so let's see those questions. And again, I love to know where you guys are watching from, and thanks for that. Is a double signed print worth more? Okay, let's explain why a print would be double signed. So first of all, it doesn't matter the number of signatures on a print. Typically what you might see a print that's called signed in the plate, right? That may be signed. So it's a lithograph print. It's signed by, Joe Smith. And then that's signed in the plate. It looks like the same thing that's printed on the same sort of plane. Then you see that it's signed again, right? Maybe it's signed again by Joe Smith in pencil, right? So that's called pencil signed. So people will think that that's worth more, okay? A lot of times what that means is that the artist actually touched the piece. So it can be marketed at a higher price. So a lot of galleries will say, well, it's pencil signed, so we can charge more for it. The other times when prints are signed twice is once by the person who drew the piece, once by the actual printer who printed the piece. So sometimes it's not Joe Smith and Joe Smith, like the first example I gave you, but sometimes it's drawn by, F.F. Palmer and published by Currier and Ives, and they're marked or signed by two different people. So be careful of that. That means that one of the actual signatories or people who signed the piece is actually the person who drew the piece, and then they gave the image to a printer, and then the printer went and actually printed the piece, and then the printer put their mark or stamp or signature on it too. Very good question. I had a person on a video call today say, I have this and it's a print and it says, so-and-so DEL. Is that the abbreviation for the state of Delaware? That was a good thought. That was a good thought. And it wasn't Delaware. It meant delineate. So that was the person who printed the piece. So that's another thing you want to think about. But a lot of this is hard. There's a lingo for it. I put a lot of these unusual marks and unusual little statements that you might find on prints on my website. And I do them on the videos. I show you on the videos at drloriv.com. You can go to the search feature and you could just put in prints. And all of these different odd and unusual marks that you'll find on a print are listed there for you and explained for you. Now, I do all this so you can have the explanation of it. So very good question. Thank you very much. See, that question is the kind of question that helps everybody. So that's what I mean by that. So that's great. That's great. So can an acid burn print be fixed? I have seen actually, when I worked in museums, I had to hire the paper conservators to actually stop or actually repair acid burning. And yes, it can actually be repaired, restored, if you will. It's a costly process, and it's a process that a professional art restorer can do for you. But yeah, it can be expensive, but I have seen it done successfully by professionals. Yes. So yes, it can be. A lot of things you want to think about is, of course, what's the value? So know the value first before you say, okay, I'm going to invest money in having a restorer fix something. I don't care if that's a painting. I don't care if that's a chair. I don't care if that's a print. Make sure you know the value first before you decide that you're going to put your resources, funds into getting the restoration, because it can be costly. But yes, good question. Acid burning can be a thing. Does a Blenko picture have seams? I thought Blenko was blown, and I swear I found a weigher picture, and it looks like it's molded. Okay. So a lot of things about seams, usually they are blown. It will depend on the actual piece. There are many fakes. So you want to be careful because perhaps what you have is a molded piece, looks like Blenko, but actually is a fake. So you want to be aware of that. So very good question. I know you're looking for a lot of seams. I want you to look for the quality, the quality, and seams are one of those things you want to look for. But in looking for the quality, you want to look for color. You want to look for style. Here's the list. You want to look for, of course, size. You want to look for if you have a label, if you don't have a label. But I like to tell you this information in the Ask Dr. Lori Lives in lists so you can kind of tick them off in your head, write them down or mark them some way so you know them. So when you're actually looking at Blenko pieces, you'll understand and be able to identify what to look for. So that will help all of you. That will help all of you. And speaking of which, and what helps us, of course, is when super chat, super stickers, or of course, if you want to support us with a Dr. Lori tote bag, right, or a Dr. Lori mug, or any of the merchandise that, of course, is available for you. The treasure hunting toolkit, things that like the loop and such. But basically, I do get compensation when you, of course, purchase those items. And the idea is so you can help support the channel and show your appreciation of the channel. I appreciate it, whatever you do. I appreciate you watching. Watch the channel. That's the other thing. And speaking of watching the channel, a lot of you guys are watching a lot of channels. That's fine. All good. I want you to be aware and careful of the situation with respect to price values based on an eBay sold list. I've been doing this for 25 years, and this is why I want to tell you about this quick story. I'm at an event. A woman says to me, Dr. Lori, I started a new business with my sister. We're selling old bottles on eBay. I sold the bottle. I was thrilled. My new business is off to a great start. I sold an old bottle. I sold it to this person. I sold it for $1,200. I was through the moon. I was so happy. I sold it for $1,200. And the person who I sold it to wrote me a note. And I thought, well, wow, what is this? He writes me a note and he says, you stupid woman. That's what he says to her. You stupid woman. You sold me a very, very rare bottle. I am actually the head of the bottle collecting society. So he's a dealer in bottle collecting and not a particularly nice guy, in my opinion. And he said, you stupid woman, you sold me a bottle for $1,200 on eBay and I resold it for $60,000. Okay, write, sir. Can't just say, hey, I took the bottle from you. I'm going to be quiet about it. He has to go and actually write to her. All right, he writes to her. Why does this affect you? What does this have to do with the fact that you might be looking up a sales record for a piece of costume jewelry or a Beanie Baby or a teacup on eBay? Here's how this affects you. That piece gets into the sold listings that you're all looking at that you think is correct. And that piece is a picture of that bottle and with the sales record that says $1,200 on it next to it, right? So here's the picture of that bottle. It says $1,200. Oh, it sold at $1,200. You have that same bottle. You find that at the Goodwill or Savers or I don't know, Salvation Army. You find that same bottle. You want to sell it. You go and look on eBay sold records and guess what you find? You find $1,200 and you think they're right. They're not right. It's $60,000. You're going to make the same mistake. And guess what's going to happen to that lousy guy who wrote that lousy note? He's going to get a second bottle at a great price. So I want you to understand why just looking up these solds is not the best way to, in fact, know the actual value. I look at the whole market. You don't want to get an appraisal? Don't get an appraisal. But then don't come crying to me when you used eBay or any of these particular things, and you're using these as a sales record and you're getting the wrong information. Please make sure you know what you're doing. Don't be like her. She lost so much money. And then the guy had to add insult to injury. But I just wanted to make that clear to you. I know a lot of the YouTube channels, maybe some of them that you watch, say, oh, here's a cup. And oh, here's what it listed for on eBay. And they show you the eBay listing, or here's what it sold for on eBay. That doesn't mean that that's the correct indicator of the market. That doesn't mean it's the appraised value. That means that one person and one seller who may or may not know what they're doing actually bought it for that particular price. So be careful because you really may not be getting the information that you need. And if it's wrong, then you're going to lose money. I'm here to help you succeed. So anyway, I wanted to remind you of that. There's also a video that I did telling this whole story, one of my events. You can use the Binge Link to see me, of course, tell the full version of this on a video here. The Binge Link is easy to find. It's on the specials and shop page at drloriv.com. I urge you to use it because it's a little bit more organized for everybody. It keeps all of the most current videos in order, and that will help all of you. So thanks for your questions. I'm happy to see all of you. Let's see what else you've got in terms of questions. I've been doing video calls, a lot of great video calls today, and video calls are easy to book if you want to do video calls. And one of the people that I was talking to today had some objects from a lost treasure ship, and a lost treasure ship called the Atosha. And those particular pieces were really quite fine. But what was interesting about this was that a lot of people don't realize that what's happening in terms of collecting and treasure hunting happens all over the world. Now, you probably know that I've traveled all over the world. I had the good fortune to actually do appraisal events on cruise ships. So, a lot of people have been saying, Dr. Laurie, are you going to do a Dr. Laurie cruise? This actually is the Norwegian Majesty where I was lecturing, and I've also lectured and did the antique appraisal cruise with Celebrity Cruise Lines, and that was a whole lot of fun where people brought pieces on for evaluation. I also did it for their corporate offices too. But the cruise ships and having cruises based on antiques appraisals with me is something many of you have suggested. I wonder if you have interest. If you do have interest, let me know. You can put it in the comments, or of course you can contact us about it. Love to know whether or not that's something that might be of interest to you. But what was interesting about the video calls, and of course this idea of treasure hunting, was that there's so many pieces out there, historical pieces that also relate to treasure hunting. A lot of people were seeing basically a rise in the values for pieces that relate to the tradition of treasure hunting. I think it has a lot to do with, of course, The Curse of Oak Island, one of the shows that's near and dear to my heart on history, where I lend my expertise as an appraiser. But basically, it's all about this idea of the thrill of the hunt. So there's a lot of cool stuff, and a lot of those pieces are actually going up in value. Everything from, arrowheads that might be found to, of course, the metal detecting objects and such. So there you go. Well, yeah, don't come crying to me, because that's what it is. That's the problem. I'm trying to help you. You really need to do it. It's not, oh, you shouldn't watch. You want to watch other people? Go watch other people. I don't care what you do. But what I do care about is that you don't make a mistake in watching these people. These people are, okay, they're fine. Many of them are trying just to get you to watch and go, oh my gosh, and get you all hyped up so you'll buy their stuff, from whatever they found when they were at the thrift store. I want you to realize what the market really looks like. And here's a good example. Why is Lalique so cheap on eBay? And actually, I think I talked to Marcos today on a video call. Lalique can be considered cheap on eBay, but here's a perfect example of what I just said, right? So a Lalique bowl might come in and be evaluated and might sell recently at a high-end auction, for example, or at a good, right, in a good market, right, particularly not eBay. And all of a sudden what you're seeing, my gosh, but on eBay, that same bowl just looks like it just sold for $500. Well, and it's worth $1,500. How is that possible, right? Well, here's a couple of different things. First of all, the person who listed it doesn't know what they have and is just listing things and doesn't care. The person who listed it got it from a clean out, and they paid $1,000 for everything in the house for the whole estate after somebody died, and decided to put everything up on eBay, and they're still making money because at $1,000, think of every single item in your house, and some person comes in and says, I'll buy the whole estate, but I'm only giving you $1,000 for everything. And that could be high, $1,000 for everything. Okay, and they don't care. Or they're the people who have no feedback on eBay, have never really sold anything, and they're just putting this stuff up for sport, and they never really sold it. Oh, does that happen? Yeah, you've got to know how that happens too. Then there's, of course, these folks who will say it's a fake, and you don't recognize that it's a fake, but it's actually a fake. So they're just trying to get any money out of it, saying that it's a Lalique, but it's not really a Lalique. There's all kinds of misinformation happening. Misinformation about me too. Misinformation about some of my services. People do all kinds of stuff. Who's going to stop them? And I'm not wasting my time anymore stopping them. Here's the deal. If you want to get the real information, here you are. I'm here all the time to help you, and I want to help you. And then there are the folks who said, Dr. Laurie, I was so nervous to meet you on this video call. You're so nice. I didn't know you were so nice because, geez, on the lives, I'd be a wreck to be on the lives. You don't have to be a wreck to be around me at all. I'm trying to help you. And in the lives, remember, I'm trying to get through a lot of people, and I'm trying to get my points across so all of you can learn in a small amount of time. We only have a fixed amount of time. And then some of you are saying things like, well, Dr. Laurie, it would help us if we had some images. Can we have some images when you talk about these certain things on the lives? the show is live. I don't know what's coming. And we can't put in an image. My producers can't put in an image. They would love to drop in images, right? They can't do that because YouTube doesn't allow us to just drop in an image. I don't know that somebody's going to ask me about Lalique, for example. You think I don't have 1,500 Lalique images? I do, but I can't give you a Lalique image now because that's not what the actual, production allows. That's not what the streaming allows. I'm trying to help you by describing all of this as best I can and also backing it up with a pretty darn super website. Because if you haven't been on my website getting information there, boy, you're missing out. There's so much information. How much less valuable is a weighted sterling silver candlestick than non-weighted? Okay, it's not so much about weighted. It's a little bit about weighted, but not so much about weighted. First of all, this is a good question, Priscilla. Sometimes it'll say sterling and then it'll say weighted. It's weighted usually. It's usually weighted with an inexpensive material, right? It could even be stone. It can even be ash. It could be all kinds of things, ground down things. But here's a couple, sometimes it's cement, right? Here's a couple of things about weighted. Weighted indicates that they want to protect the quality of the piece, right? Because when you drop a candlestick that's made of sterling silver and it's hollow inside, there's going to be a dent in that sterling silver candlestick once it hits the ground. So having it weighted will help that it doesn't fall off of the mantle or fall off of the table, that kind of thing. So it's more about the quality of the actual piece. I like to see that pieces are weighted because then we don't have as much damage happening, right? How much problems with damage. What really is the value indicator here? How big is your candlestick? Here come the list. How big is your candlestick? Is your candlestick sterling? Is it marked sterling? Is there a maker's mark on that candlestick as well? Gorham, Steiff, Van Kirk and Sons, I don't know, whoever. Basically those are the things you want to look for. And then of course, weighted or non-weighted, but it won't say non-weighted. It'll just say weighted, or it won't say anything about it being weighted. I like a weighted candlestick. It's a good idea. You usually see them in candlesticks of the 20th century. So good question. Thank you for it. So, and again, helps everybody. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It is super easy to use. There is a lot on it. And all you have to do is click. If you don't want to read, you don't have to read. You can watch a video through the website. If you want to book something like be part of the class, my class is 2 hours of fun with people who are like you, who love art, antiques, and collectibles with me as of course, the appraiser moderator. It's a lot of fun. I teach you about all different objects. Some people just love to just watch and learn. You can get a piece appraised as well. And you can see that too. Yeah, actually, I've lectured on of course, Mel Fisher and the Atosha and the treasure hunting and his success in 1985 of finding, of course, the Atosha, which is a Spanish galleon ship that went down in 1622, of course, off the coast of Florida. A beautiful and exciting kind of thing. And then talking about how shipwreck treasures actually work and what it's like and the tradition of the golden age of piracy. And of course, King Philip the Fourth of Spain wanting his money to get back out of Havana, Cuba, and out of course, the Caribbean and back to Spain. It was very interesting, really interesting. And the objects are gorgeous. And most of them are, what do you think they are that I love? Jewelry, gold, silver, of course, bars. Fantastic, wonderful, and interesting. Yeah. Great museums. Hey, pick your great museums and go there and visit. Is it better to break up a set of dishes into individual place settings or sell it as a set? It depends. It depends on what you've got. Today at a video call, for example, I appraised 2 different sets of Limoges china, and the Limoges china, interestingly enough, was done in place settings. So the folks who own this, the video callers, said, well, we don't know if we have a full service. Okay, so you have to have so many place settings, right? So many pieces in the place setting. What does that mean? A place setting consists usually of at least 3 pieces: a dinner plate, a cup, and a saucer. Now, most place settings consist of 5 pieces or more, right? A dinner plate, a salad plate, a cup, a saucer, and then usually a bread plate, right? So now it's usually 5. Then you have serving place pieces as well. So you're saying, oh, I've got a set of 5, for example, a place setting. I want to sell this one place setting. Then I want to sell another place setting. Then I want to sell another place setting, okay? You could do that, but make sure if you're doing it by place setting, you add 10% to the total value of those 5 pieces. You got me? Now, say you have a service for 12 and somebody wants a service for 8. Do you break it up and only sell the service for 8 of those 5 place settings, which would be 8 times 5 or 40 objects? Well, you got to get some extra money for that because those other 4 place settings are now sort of quote unquote bastard place settings. They're like orphans. They're kind of just sitting over there. They don't really make a whole nother set because there's not enough to make a service for 8 or a service for 12. Right? So I always say, if you have a complete service for 12, try to sell the whole service for 12. Because once you start breaking it up, then you're going to have a problem that people are saying, well, I don't have the whole set now anymore. Try to sell a service for 12 of 5 place settings, of 5-piece place settings each for, of course, what the total value would be, and then add 10% for what's called collection value. Collection value means I didn't make the buyer run around and try to find all these extra pieces that are missing. You know, you are providing them with something super and unusual, which is here's the full set. You got me? So that's why if you have the opportunity and you have the full set, try to sell it as a set. I always say, try not to break up sets, right? Certain things automatically get broken up as sets. Many of you try to make things sets that aren't sets. Well, it's a painting by the same artist. I have 5 paintings by the same artist. That's not a set. You know, that's 5 different paintings of different subject matter by the same artist. They're all individual. But a place setting of Lennox or Hürthenrüscher or I don't know, Limoges or Haviland, Limoges, whatever it might be, is going to be more valuable by about 10%, right? Total value plus 10% if you sell it as the service for 12. So try to keep sets intact. Try not to break those pieces. And remember, you don't want to stack them too high in the china closet. And if you're going to resell the pieces, make sure that they're in good shape. Great. Good question. Yeah, thank you, Brandy. Thank you very much, Brandy. Brandy, knowledgeable and nice. I don't want anybody to feel nervous to talk to me. I am here to help you. Will tell you, my personality is straightforward. Let's get to the point. Let's get it done because I can help you. And, you know, I am an impatient personality. I will say that. And I am not a perfect person. I'm a human being. But when someone says, gosh, I was nervous about talking to you because, you know, it seems like, and I will tell you how I felt because I'm a person, you know, and she went, well, gee, I didn't really think you were this nice. You're so nice. Yeah, I'm trying to help you. Here's the thing. I'm trying to help all of you, bajillions of you. So I'm getting concerned that I don't have enough time to do that. But yes, but I hope I always come across as nice. What I really want to come across is, you know, that you have a friend who knows what she's doing in this. I've done it a long time and I want you to succeed. You can do very well at this. You can enjoy it. Who cares if you do well? You can enjoy it. Do you collect fish? Hello, Matthew, honey. You collect fish. Do you prefer ceramic, glass, or brass? Well, I like any fish. Truthfully, I like any fish. I guess I prefer gold. I'm kidding. But no, I mean, ceramic's lovely. Glass is lovely. I've had, you know, folks who have been very kind and sent me a fish or two, you know, something just small and cute and fun just to say, we know you love fish. But yeah. And again, but I'm not, metals are fine. I'm not one for brass personally, but brass, a lot of people like brass and it's sort of, you know, it goes up and down. It kind of wanes, but I like all different types of fish. As a child, I did collect little fish, little glass fish animals. I used to have them on a little dressing table. My mom was great for those little, you know, we didn't have a lot of money, little cheap, you know, like press board tables. And then she'd put a tablecloth over them, you know, so they'd be neat. So I used to have my little animals on that. I can remember that in my little tiny room at home. But anyway, yes, that's a nice question. It's nice to see you, Matthew. I hope you're well. Matthew was a very, very long time supporter, of course. Hi, Janice. Janice from Oregon. Can you tell me if rock and roll memorabilia is worth much? Yeah, it can be. She collected everything from New Kids on the Block. You didn't think I knew that, did you? You didn't think I was going to know that. Left at my house. Oh, okay. Here's where you're going to get in trouble now. You're already, how many sons came up to me at events over the years and continue to come up to me at my public events and go, my mother sold my baseball cards. I left them there. Well, don't leave your stuff around. That'll teach you the first thing. Yes. And yes, New Kids on the Block, of course, will be popular. Any of those boy bands are going to be very popular. Very, very popular pieces. Any of that memorabilia, she collected everything from it. It can be worth much. Yes. So don't just poo-poo it. Everything from the figures, you know, the actual albums, CDs, DVDs, MP3s, you name it, any of those forms of course, the music as it changes, is going to be valuable. Sure. You could sell it everywhere, anywhere. And it's always important for you to get an appraisal, because the appraisal will tell you. If you have a whole bunch of it, I'm running a special on the 30-minute video calls. You can find it on the specials page, specials in shop. You got, 30 minutes with me to go through the whole collection, within reason, within 30 minutes, a 30-minute time frame. But if you organize it out and lay it out beforehand, if you're organized, I'm fast. I haven't been able to watch your shows. Like, yeah, where you been? Where you been, JD? Where? But I see a beautiful ring on your finger. Did I get married? I did not get married. This is how my rings work. If it fits on this finger that day, that's the finger it goes on. If it fits on this finger that day, that's the finger it goes on. I only wear rings on ring fingers. It's very rare I'll put a pinky ring on, but I have some, but sometimes. But no, I did not get married. I bought all my own jewelry. I can't say all my own jewelry. A couple of pieces of my mom's have been handed down, or my sisters have given me a gift here and there, kind of thing. But no, I am not involved. I am not married. I am not engaged. I'm just whatever ring, whatever finger. See, it won't fit on this finger today. Tomorrow it might. I don't know. Who knows what I ate? I don't know. But yes, thank you for noticing. I do like rings. I like all kinds of rings. I like rings. I like earrings. I don't know. I wear necklaces, but I'm not crazy about necklaces because it kind of accentuates all the bigness up here. So I don't know. That's enough about me. We'll wait till the next personal question. Oh gosh, please, Pete. I've been to California a billion times doing shows all over California, from San Diego all the way up north, San Diego, Yosemite. I've been all over California. And yes, I do the shows there often. Many of you will go, well, you don't have a show in my area. I don't have a show in your area now. But we list new shows all the time. My event schedule is always being updated. So you've got to check. I don't want to check. You don't even have to check. We have a system on our website. All you have to do is, put it up that you want an automatic alert when I'm coming to your area, and you'll get one. I mean, if you read the website, everything is done there for you, because I like websites that make it easy. So I wanted my website to be easy. So go to events. It's at the top, right at the top of the website. Hit events, and then go to any one of them and say, oh, I want to know. There it is, events, right at that home, events, blog. There it is, all of them. So go to events, and then you just click, and then you go to the events listing, and you go, do you want to sign up for automated alerts? Yeah. So then in your email box, a little alert will come in and say, Dr. Lori's going to be in San Diego. Dr. Lori's going to be in San Jose. Dr. Lori's going to be in Sacramento. You name it. So, but thank you for the question, because that question helps. John, thank you. The pride of Pittsburgh is here. I like it. I talked to Pittsburgh today. And the guy, I won't tell you what his email was, but the guy had a very cool email about one of his favorite sports teams in Pittsburgh. I thought that was fun. So anyway, yeah. A lot of cool things. And thank you for the super chats and super stickers. And I thank you for formulating the questions, because this gives me a good opportunity to show you not only how nice I am, but also it shows you, in fact, again, an opportunity to ask those questions that have been going around in your head, or that you don't know who to ask. You can ask me. The people who are shopping on these YouTube channels, good luck to them. But they're not going to be able to answer these questions, because they're no different really than you guys. Oh, I missed one. I'm sorry. I was talking. I'll try to get back to that. And some of you have said, oh, you didn't get to my question. I'm trying to get as many of it. Have you appraised any of the dogs playing poker paintings? Oh, Terry Lynn, honey, yes, I have. I've appraised a lot of paintings that, couldn't be considered sort of art. I call those sort of art paintings, right? So yes, I have appraised those too. Some of them are prints. You want to be careful of that. Yeah, there you go. There's the print. So some of them are prints. So make sure that you get the loop and you look through it, and you look for those consistent dot patterns. Sometimes they look like concentric circles, right? To identify what's a print and what's not. And I show you that the same way that you can use the loop to identify, is this a pearl or not? Right? Is this the real thing, or is this the fake thing? Something like that. There you go. That kind of thing. So, will you ever have a class on Saturday or Sunday evening or weekday morning for those of us that work nights? Well, Lily, sure, I could do that. Why not? I mean, I'm up day and night. Did you see I was cooking quiche the other night? I couldn't sleep. Why can't I teach a class? I will take that under advisement. Thank you for suggesting that. I like your suggestions. I want to hear your suggestions. Somebody who says, oh, I want you to succeed, and then doesn't want to take your suggestions, So early morning, yeah, I mean, I guess that could happen. I confess, I'm sorry. I didn't think of that. Although I'm not the only person thinking around here either, but I didn't think of that. That's a good idea. Yeah, well, we'll look into it. Take it under advisement. I mean, I do video calls on the weekends purposefully to help folks because a lot of folks, of course, are working all week. So I set aside one of my weekend days to do video calls, and I'm happy to do that. And then, but yeah. Well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I know it is difficult sometimes because not only is it technical obstacles, but also what's sometimes difficult is, in fact, you're dealing with the emotions of these objects or a curiosity, or you're trying to solve a problem that you've had with an object for a long time, and then the phone doesn't work or the internet is not right or whatever. But I do ask that you guys, have it set up well, try and test before you do the video call. Call your friend, call your cousin, call your neighbor, call somebody before you do the call with me. But yes, I'm happy to try to be patient and nice. Anyway, why do some people that sell on eBay get top dollar for their items, but you have the same item for less and it never sells? Which platform? This is a good question too. Look at how cute these two are. So this is a good question too. Some people sell for top dollar. Are they really selling for top dollar? Do you really have the same object, right? Are you selling in the right place? Do they have established customers that they've had for a long time and you're a new seller? You haven't established your customer base. Some people just like to go back to the same eBay shop, quote unquote. Oh, I always want to buy this from Susie Q or whomever it might be on eBay. So there's lots of reasons why that's possible. I am putting together a class about buying and selling. Basically that idea, the $39 classes that I do, just about tips to buy and sell online. What are the best platforms to sell jewelry? What are the best platforms to sell glass? What are the best platforms to sell, ceramics? So that's basically what we're looking at. So that's a very good question. If you're having issues, I will tell you this, that a lot of people don't like to hear, but it's true. You got to be patient. Sometimes you just have to be patient and you just have to wait it out. And a lot of the folks who have had success, a lot of my success stories have said, Dr. Lori, you told me it was worth, I don't know, take $850. And I thought, oh gosh, I'm gonna have to lower that price. It's never gonna go for that. And you told me to wait, and I waited and I got that value. I got that money. I had to wait. Sometimes you have to wait. But yeah, different platforms are better for different things. Okay. So that's one of the things you want to think for. And I also want you to think about something called niche marketing, which of course is this idea that in fact, there's a certain niche of buyers or potential buyers who want certain pieces who are on one site and may not be on another site, right? Depop, for example, is not really for the 55 and 65-year-olds. It's really more skewed toward 25 to 35 or 40 or 35-year-olds. So you want to think about what's the demographic, what type of people or what age group or what gender or what ethnicity or whatever are on those. I know I'm going to teach it to you in the class. That's how you're going to know which pieces to sell on which platform. And I talk about this in a lot of my videos. I remember doing, of course, some of the costume jewelry videos talking about the platforms, but I'm going to put together a class for you because you all keep asking me. So yes, good questions, smart questions, and I can help. Hummels. Okay, let's talk about Hummels. Returning in value. All right. First of all, I've appraised a lot of Hummels. I've appraised them from all the way back, right, early 20th century to all the way forward, right, and different sizes, different figures. Hummel figurines are made by Goebel, but they're based on the drawings of Sister Maria Hummel. Okay, they're earthenware ceramic, they're hand painted, and their values, in fact, people will say, oh, they're not worth anything. And I went into a very, very extensive Hummel collector's house, and she said, I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I actually found her the way to, in fact, sell all the Hummels. And I don't mean there were a couple of Hummels on a bookshelf. I mean, the whole house was Hummels, the whole house. It was a big house of Hummels. Now, having said that, she was very surprised that that actually could be done. But there are still people who are buying those collectibles, specifically Hummels, for good money. Now, a lot of people poo-poo them because there's so many of them out there and there are so many knockoffs. But for the good Hummels, the ones that are in good condition, the ones that are relatively large, the ones that have the correct mark on them, all the 11 V and B marks of the Hummel and Goebel company, right? You'll see these particular things. It's the Goebel company and the Hummel line is basically what it is. But returning in value, they have good value now. A lot of people have been, in fact, convinced by the same folks who probably say brown furniture isn't worth money, are convinced that they're not worth anything. So if you have Hummels and they're in good shape and they have some age, they're going to be valuable. They're valuable right now. I can help you to sell them. You need either a written appraisal or a verbal video call appraisal. I watched the movie Apartment yesterday, and I saw a lamp you just appraised on your June 30th show. It was the Tiffany spider lamp. You know what that is because of this. How about that? That was quite an exciting, of course, evaluation and appraisal. I've appraised many Tiffany lamps, many different ones, turtleback Tiffany's and dragonfly Tiffany's and black-eyed Susan Tiffany's, all different types of stained glass Tiffany lamps. And now the spider, of course, here. You should really watch that video from a couple of days ago, from June 30th, 2022, and see what the reaction was. That was a huge value, and see what the reaction was. And isn't it funny that you were actually watching it? Yeah, that particular piece was really quite special. And a lot of you have had a lot of questions about it. And there's also information, of course, about it, a little bit more information on the Facebook page, which I put up too. So Tiffany lamps, terrific. Yep. Yeah. A lot of I've helped with respect to that idea of helping when you're doing, of course, proper set styling, if you will. Yeah, for TV, for movies, for that kind of thing. It's very interesting to see it when you go, oh my gosh, I know what that is. And isn't it fun when you know what it is? Isn't it empowering when you're sitting there going, I know what that is. It's a circa 1910 Tiffany spider lamp. Wow, that's the web, and it'll be marked on the bottom. I showed you where it was marked. I showed you what you look for. I showed you to look for leading. I showed you to look for the different coloration, the gradations of course, the color of the stained glass. I showed you to look for where are the places where the words Tiffany Studios should appear on your stained glass lamp. I showed you all of that on that video, right? Again, lists of what you should be looking for and such. That's always important. That's always important. So have you got your Dr. Lori mug yet? That's what I want to know. You're drinking your coffee or your tea or your, I don't know, water out of that mug? I hope so. What's the best way to get good money for late 19th century chairs? Okay, it's going to depend on what chairs you have. Do you have armchairs? Do you have side chairs? Do you have rocking chairs? Do you have upholstered chairs? So which chairs do you have? I like the idea of a local pickup for a chair because you don't want to really ship a chair, right? Also, if you have sets of dining chairs or chairs that can be put together as sets, that's going to be helpful too, because most people are looking for that. Even if you just have a pair of chairs, one chair on each side of the front door. Some people like that look. But there are many ways to get rid of, or basically to get good money for late 19th century chairs. People like to do that in antique booths, okay? Sometimes antique malls, because they actually have an opportunity to see the piece and they've driven usually to the antique mall. A lot of you are doing that. You're saying, I'm putting my furniture, antique furniture stuff, not on my eBay store, my Etsy store, my Poshmark store. I'm instead, or my Cherish, right? My cherish.com listings. Instead, I'm using my antique booth that I've rented and I'm putting, I'm selling them in that environment. So you've got to look at sort of where. Some people like auctions because it's a little faster. But again, you're giving up money to the auction house, but you're giving up a commission to any of the online places too, any of the online platforms too. So I would say best way to get good money for it, first of all, don't reupholster it, leave well enough alone. If you have a reupholstered chair, make sure that you have you've cleaned the wood surface. If you have a rocking chair, so clean the wood surface, make sure that you don't reupholster it. Right? If it's falling apart with reupholstery, then you have to consider, well, is it worth it? Can I make more money if I actually invest a little bit in it? The other thing that I would say for you to do is, of course, make sure that the rocking chairs are actually stable. Make sure that the arms, a lot of those armchairs, they have sort of all of looks like the stain is gone where the hands would rest. That's from oils on your hands, deteriorating the pieces, right? Make sure that you have a solid hardwood and learn what the solid hardwoods look like. I teach you how to do that too. Remember, it's not about the stain, it's about the grain, right? So you want to make sure that you're looking at that. What's the difference between oak? What's the value difference between walnut? What about a cherry side chair? That kind of thing. Yeah, all kinds of things. Carvings are going to make it more valuable typically. Sometimes if it's inset, right? Inset with abalone or inset with ivory or inset with some other kind of shell or stone will be valuable. But you can definitely resell those pieces. Try to do eBay with a local pickup. That's usually works well. Hi, Ace. Can you tell us a bit more about Lladro crystal versus Lladro porcelain? It's a company known for high crystal. Lladro is known for porcelain. It is known for porcelain figurines. I always call them taffy pull figurines. When I was teaching art history, I'm still teaching art history. Basically, you kind of, as if you took a piece of taffy and you pulled them and then you sculpted it into a figurine, elongated forms based on an art historical movement that took place after the Renaissance in the early 1500s called the Mannerist movement. That's when they had these really long, skinny figural images, and usually in painting, and also that's what Lladro's looking at. The Lladro brothers, of course, established their firm in Spain. You will see very, very high values for them, selling for a lot of money in the places that were once, of course, Spanish colonial places, like the Caribbean, as well as Spain. I've been in many of those shops when traveling in Barcelona and other places, Madrid and Malaga, where, of course, the Lladro sell for very, very high numbers. What's happened a lot of times is people will say, oh, it's just a figurine. We don't care about figurines. There are a lot of collectors who are still collecting Lladros. Now, in terms of high quality crystal, I've seen Lladro crystal, and a lot of manufacturers got into crystal in the late 1900s or the late 20th century because crystal was actually very desirable, and a lot of people wanted to use the brand name to help sell the crystal, right? Because I always tell you, glass crystal, even if it's lead crystal with 24% or more lead, that defines what crystal is. That's how we get to crystal. It has to be 24% or more lead content. They use their brand name, the Lladro brand name, to say, oh, we're now selling crystal because glass in general is inexpensive to manufacture. It's more inexpensive to manufacture glass like that, like crystal, than it would be to make a Lladro figurine of the same size and style and design. So good question. I hope that helps. Good question. The Corning glass this week and watched a 3-hour hot glass demonstration. Yeah, hot glass is fun. Hot glass used to be on the cruise ships. When I was working with Celebrity, for example, they used to have the hot glass show in the cruise ships. They may still do that. And also, the Corning Museum has a wonderful collection, as does Wheatland Village in New Jersey, for those of you who are in that part of the country. And there are a lot of great glass museums throughout the world. The Sandwich Glass Museum is one of my favorites, of course, in Sandwich, Massachusetts, on Cape Cod, right as you go over the bridge to get onto Cape Cod. But basically, yeah, you can sit through those glass demonstrations. It's amazing to watch them actually do that. And of course, I had the good fortune to do that in Murano, and there's no place like Murano. But yeah, the Corning folks are top drawer. They're top drawer. They're wonderful. I'm sure you'll like it. Thanks for sharing that, Volvo. Thanks for sharing that. I appreciate it. Why do precious moments and willow tree figurines seem to have no real value? Well, that's just not true. So I think you have incorrect information. There you go. Willow tree figures are very collectible and desirable. A lot of people like them, and a lot of people continue to collect them. A lot of people collect the retired ones. People say this about buyer's choice carolers too. Also not true. There are people who are collecting these pieces and paying top dollar for them. Precious moments, the precious moments, I mean, I show you the sales records. Whether you want to believe me or not is a whole nother thing, but someone's paying that bill. The precious moments, pieces, and it's certain pieces. And I remember recently just showing you which pieces in a particular deal. When I was showing you the deals online, I said, this particular one is pretty rare. A lot of people look for that one. You know what I mean? So basically, that's really not true. But these myths get perpetuated. These myths continue to get perpetuated. People continue to they don't mean to be spreading lies, but they continue to sort of spread lies. Not that you're spreading a lie. I'm not calling you a liar. I'm just saying the information isn't right to start, and then it just gets spread. And sometimes it just gets spread because it has, a celebrity connected to it, or maybe it's because it happens, over and over. And oh no, they aren't worth anything. They're not worth anything, because you believe they're not worth anything. There is somebody out there who's paid that much for them. And these companies are not going to continue to actually be producing items that in fact are not worth anything, that they can't make any money off of. They're not doing this for their health. They're doing this to, of course, make cash. So remember, those precious moments on the resale market, that's right, that's on the vintage resale market, are bringing good values. You have to know where. You also have to know which ones are more valuable. I know a lot of people say, my grandmother had so many of them and I don't really want to deal with it. Not wanting to deal with it is not the same as they're not valuable. You don't want to deal with it. I get that. But that doesn't mean they're not valuable. Because you don't want to deal with it, that means you don't want to deal with it. But that doesn't mean that there isn't value in it. So, you're going to have to do some work to get the value out of it. But those pieces are valuable, and they'll continue to be valuable because they're a long-standing brand, right? So they go, oh, well, the Hummels aren't valuable. Oh, the Lladros aren't valuable. Oh, these aren't valuable. But everybody's buying them. They're selling at auction. They're making money off of them. So, yeah. Good question, though. Good question. How do I tell a charcoal drawing is a print or an original? Okay, there's a couple things about charcoal, right? Charcoal usually will flake a little bit. So you'll see, like if you took a charcoal briquette, like you're outside and you're gonna have the grill, right? You take a charcoal briquette and you draw like on the sidewalk with it. You're going to see that there's going to be fibers. There's going to be remnants, residue that comes off of it. That's the same when you see, of course, charcoal. A charcoal drawing. If you don't see that, then it's a print. Okay. So if you see kind of little tiny bits, that's usually an original. The other thing that trips people up, they're looking at a photograph of Aunt Millie from the early 1900s, and they think it's a charcoal drawing when in fact it's a photograph that's been highlighted. Oh, I didn't know that. That's a print, and it's not in fact a charcoal, but people will think it's charcoal, or they think it's an original painting when really it's actually an image of a particular person done by an early type of camera, an early camera of the early 20th century. But yeah, usually it's if you see any kind of little like bits of charcoal, little tiny bits of black residue, that's usually an original. Charcoal drawings are pretty easy. What's a little harder is something called Conti crayon, right? Or oil crayon. Those usually don't have any bits. Those are usually harder to tell. But I'm teaching you how to do this with the loop. You got to get the loop. And the reason why you got to get the loop, thank you for the super chats and super stickers. It really does help. The reason why you've got to get the loop is going to actually help you. It's going to help you to have an understanding of what to look for. Because once you know what to look for, no one's going to trick you. You're not going to be in the flea market thinking, should I believe this guy is trying to sell me this thing? You're going to know with your own eyes, with your own head. A lot of you have been watching me. I had a woman go, Dr. Lori, I've been watching you for 20 years. I've been following you for 20 years. And, it's great to see you on YouTube. I used to follow you around the country. People still follow me around the country. There's a lot to know, and I want you to know it, because once you know it, they're not going to be able to snow you. They're not going to be able to tell you. And when you're watching these other channels, you're going to be able to say, Dr. Lori taught me that. Why doesn't this person know that? And you're going to be able to know the difference between somebody who really knows what they're talking about and somebody who, with all due respect, has about as much information that they're able to provide as maybe, someone like, and someone who's just starting out, right? So that's what we want to think about. So your questions are great. It's good to see them. You have 2 loops. Yeah. You can put one in the tote bag, right? The Dr. Lori tote bag. Those of you who asked for sweatshirts, yes, we now have sweatshirts. And it does, of course, help. It also helps when you watch. It also helps when and some people say, I have to watch a couple times. I understand that. These are chock full of information. That's why, sure. So what if you watch again? And take notes. Some people have notebooks. They're showing me their notebooks. Going, look at all the notes that we have. And so many of you are getting in touch with me and saying, you helped my business. You helped my business succeed. I was able to get, a lot higher prices. I was able to understand what sells better where. I was able to identify the piece and understand quality and leave the crap at the thrift store, at the yard sale, at the antique mall. I understood about how to negotiate in watching these videos. So many of you are telling me, and these are pretty big numbers that you guys are putting down, with knowing how to correctly identify stuff. And not getting bogged down with people who are trying to help you, but really want you to buy from their auction. I don't want you to buy from my auction. There's nothing for you to buy from my auction. I have no auction. So basically, I'm not trying to do that. I'm going to help you because I want you to succeed, and I have the stuff to do it. Because I've laid the foundation, I have the education, I have the experience, and I want you to share in it. But anyway, the questions are great. We've got some great questions tonight, and I appreciate, of course, all of the viewers too. I appreciate the super chats and super stickers. I'm Dr. Lori, the PhD Antiques Appraiser. Thank you for being with me. I'll see you next time.